So welcome, and my name is Kylie Macdonald, and I'm the business developer here at BigaSuccess. Today we have a wonderful guest with us and a customer under the name of Todd Gaswick. He is the owner of Tag Financial Solutions, and today he's going to introduce himself and answer a few questions about how he has found his experience this far with BigaSuccess. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you, Kylie, and thanks for this opportunity. I think this will be fun to be interviewed by you, if you will, and share a little bit about myself, but also hopefully it'll help some other advisors and agents that you're reaching out to. So
definitely, thank you very much, and we really appreciate your time here. And if you would like to start off and tell us about a little bit about yourself, how did you get started with the Tag Financial Solutions, and what is your background?
Very good. Yes. 50 some years ago, if anyone would have told me that I would be doing this today, I would have told them they're crazy. I grew up on a ranch, a farm ranch in northwest Nebraska that's in the center of the United States. We raised cattle, we had sheep, we had some horses, and the plan was always for me to take that over from my father. When I was in high school, though, this was the late 70s, very hard time economically for small farm and ranch operations. And my dad pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I don't want you taking this over. You know, I need you to be thinking about doing something else." This was when I was a sophomore in high school. And so for the first time in my life, I actually sat down with my guidance counselor and said, I guess I got to figure out what I'm going to do outside of taking over my dad's ranch. And I ended up going to college. I went through the ROTC program, Reserve Officer Training Corps, at the University of Nebraska. Graduated in December of '84 and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. I served a little over 20-year career in the Air Force. During that time, and I won't get into those details, other than real quick, I was an acquisition officer. Then I became an ROTC instructor for a 4-year stint, and then I cross-trained and I was an intelligence officer the second half of my career. Won't get into where I was at. I don't think that's relevant here, but retired in, 1 March of 2005 and started this career in the financial services industry. My title is financial advisor. A lot of people ask me, well, why did you go into that industry? A lot of people question, why didn't you stay in the intelligence field as a contractor, a defense contractor, or as a federal civilian working for the government? And I said, I want to break free of that. I lost my father in August of 2000 to a sudden heart attack. And it was Dad's life insurance that just really set up my mom to take care of her financially until God reached down and grabbed her, unfortunately only about four years later. But that was probably my gotcha moment as to the power that this industry can provide to families. And when people ask me, why did you go into it? That's the reason. It was, witnessing what life insurance did for my mother. I am at this point, it's the 17th of February, 2021. I'm about 2 weeks from crossing over into the start of my 17th year in this industry, finishing my 16th year. First 9.5 years, I was in a captive company environment, broke free of that in November of 2014, and have been an independent ever since then. What that means for those that maybe aren't familiar with that environment, in a captive environment, you got to sell what that company tells you to sell. And that was like I was in handcuffs. And I won't get into a lot of those details, but as an independent, I can have a much more collaborative conversation with the people that I'm working with and truly offer them products and services and strategies that are in their best interests, and not be have someone behind you telling you you've got to sell a certain product. And this is a much better environment for me. Certainly, if anybody wants to reach out to me and ask, the difference between those two, I would welcome that type of reach out from this video. When I went independent, I formed my own they call it a DBA, doing business as company, and that is the Tag Financial Solutions. But I do have a broker dealer that I do investments through, any variable type contracts. Life insurance is an outside business activity, an OBA. Most people in my industry will understand what that means. And so I can broker pretty much any life insurance contract that makes sense to me and with my clients. So a lot of people also ask me, how long are you going to be doing this? People that I'm talking to that are prospective clients ask me that all the time. How long do you plan on doing that? I don't shy away from my age. I'll be 59 the 1st of June, but I have no intention of ever retiring from this career field. I love this environment. I love working with people. I'm allowed to work virtually and have been doing that for over 6 years. So I don't know why I would stop doing this. So honestly, the only reason I would stop doing this would be God has a different plan for me. So he hasn't knocked on my door yet to give me that different plan. But I love the flexibility of being able to work virtually. As long as I have a phone and the internet available to me, I can do this from wherever I'm at. I still have the ranch that I grew up on. It's 8 hours. I live in the Omaha, Nebraska area, and it's about an 8-hour drive to Northwest Nebraska to our ranch. And whether I'm here in Omaha or out there at the ranch, I can still do this. So it gives me a lot of flexibility.
That's fantastic, Todd. Thank you very much for sharing that with me and with our guests. It was a lovely story that you told us, and how you got started, and the military in the background with your father. It's very touching, and I think that's fantastic. And we've been working together for some time now, and you can definitely see the passion within what you do and what you love doing. So if I may ask, from BigaSuccess point of view, where did you hear about BigaSuccess?
Yeah, I wasn't doing a search for you guys. I mentioned earlier that I do a lot of activity. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, reaching out to a lot of different people. And honestly, Kylie, you remember you reached out to me, and I don't like to just make a connection on LinkedIn and then just let it sit there and stare at each other's profiles like a stamp collection. I don't think that does anybody any good. So as you recall, I reached out to you. Yeah, I'll connect with you, but I want to have a conversation.
That's great.
And so we set up a Zoom call, and we got to know each other. And to me, I do that all the time, and I call those my discovery calls. And it's not trying to sell someone anything, you selling me your business or vice versa. It's to get to know each other, because this is an industry that in a career field that is based on relationships, and you've got to form and create that relationship before you try to sell something. So that's, again, I wasn't looking for you guys. It was you reaching out to me. We connected. I insisted we ought to try and have a connection call. We did, and here we are.
Wonderful. That is correct. Yes, we did reach out on LinkedIn, and there was an automatic message that was sent. And we do want to get to know our customers and build that relationship. And so we appreciated you making that initial conversation with me, and having that strategy meeting with me. I think that's where we really built that relationship, because we were able to have a informal conversation and just see. My next question would be, and this might not pertain to you, Todd, but it would be, what sort of problems or what sort of pain points did you possibly come across with your business, and why you thought maybe that having the strategy meeting might be vital for you?
And certainly we talked about this early on in our discovery process and strategy meeting. I won't say that I thought I had a problem. I've always known I needed to have a better presence online, especially where I work virtually. Just being able, because I get a lot of people asking, well, send me your website, or do you have a Facebook business page, or I've looked at your LinkedIn page, but I've always known I need to strengthen that. Yeah. I just hadn't taken the steps to really do anything with that. So I'm not going to say that I had a problem, that I was glaring, and it is screaming out at me that I need to be talking to someone. But certainly our conversations, as we've dove into this business model, I can see where I had issues. I didn't realize I had them at the time, but what you guys are doing for me, I think is gonna, it's definitely gonna put me where I need to be, and probably should have been years ago.
Perfect.
Hopefully
That's
that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Todd. So, as you mentioned previously, it wasn't that you really initiated a problem. It was more to upscale your current marketing strategy. So if, once we had that strategy meeting, would you say initially the products and services that was offered to you, do you feel like it was definitely a reach out to you per se, and giving you that initial service that you actually wanted to potentially look at?
Well, I try to communicate with my database of, I've got, I think last time I looked, over 700 emails of people I've reached out to over the years, and have, maintained a database of them. And I send out an electronic newsletter each month that sometimes gets some responses, but I also try to do my own thing. I mean, I've recorded my own videos doing a presentation. I go to meeting and then I'll send that out, but it's not professionally done. Part of me likes that it's not professionally done, because I want to come across authentic. But at the same time, and what really appealed to me with you guys is that you're going to take my material, you're going to take me doing that and put a professional picture on that, if you will, and do your editing, whatever magic you guys do to try and fix what you're seeing on this side of the screen, to make it a little more glitzy. And I don't care about that so much. To me, to reinforce the message I'm trying to get out to people. And so that's probably the biggest appeal I have towards working with you all right now.
Right. No, of course. And I definitely agree with you there, Todd. I mean, every customer that we deal with, it's really dependent on, what they want to put forward. And with you specifically, I found that, you were not looking for that full on professional approach, on a sense that it was like, a robotic type of thing. We still wanted to really bring you forward, because the Tag Financial Solutions is your brand. So do you feel like, the communication this far has been good, and that we've understood your brand and your needs?
Absolutely. I mean, we're at what I think we would agree on this statement, that we're still in the sort of early stages of this process.
Correct.
So in fact, we've got some other sessions, later this week and next week that will further develop this. But I mean, the robotic term that you just mentioned a few seconds ago, I mean, that hits me. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, I have access to a lot of material, videos, but they're cartoonish. With other companies that I work with, that it's just not me. I want to be the face on there. Hopefully it's a little window in the corner, and then my presentation or whatever I'm talking to is the centerpiece of what people are going to see. But I want to be the one doing that talking, and that's what's really been appealing to me with what you're going to be providing me and have provided me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes. So as you have mentioned, Todd, we've been in business together, working with you for roughly over a month or 2 months, over 2 months now. So it is early days, and we obviously want to retain our customers for the long run. So through that process, BigaSuccess, we do weekly reports and meetings with myself, and then obviously the project manager, as you have got Evan as your project manager. But from the short time that we have been working with you, what would you say is your highlight, or the this far that you feel that we have been offered been able to offer you as a service.
Okay, you realize you just opened the door to me potentially embarrassing you a little bit, and that's not my intent. But honestly, it's a relationship you and I have created and developed, because, and we haven't talked about this. I mean, again, people in the United States knows where Omaha, or they should know where Omaha, Nebraska is. Warren Buffett lives here, but you're in South Africa, so
that's right.
What has impressed me immensely is the responsiveness that I have gotten from you with any questions I've got, with any question, you know, whether it's a question or, you know, hey, this doesn't look quite right, or whatever issue or question it's not an issue, but anytime I've ever reached out to you, I mean, you are responding to me. I mean, it's not, you know, if I'm reaching out to you late afternoon or in the evening, my time, it's early morning for you. So, but you're very responsive. So that has impressed me immensely. Probably even more so than other organizations I've worked with, not in this field or this area of the industry, but sometimes it takes days for someone to get back to me. And that's just not good practice, in my opinion. And that's the type of stuff that'll make me nuts. Is I think you and I have, we have a little fun with that kind of conversation, but that's probably, you know, especially also with Evan, you mentioned him as the project manager. I mean, anytime I've ever reached out to him, it's almost instantaneous that he's replying to me. Now, you know, if I'm doing a 10 o'clock at night type email to him, I don't expect him to respond until the next day, but he's right on it. So, and if necessary, he just throws me a text, hey, can you talk right now? Yeah. And we'll call and just talk it out. So I've been very impressed with the responsiveness of the company.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Todd. I really, really appreciate that, you know, a lot. And, you know, with you as well, I think it's wonderful to work with you as well. And, you know, if we could, maybe we can mention a little bit about your book as well, and what we've been able to do with regards to brand building and your book this far, if you are happy to discuss that.
Absolutely. You know, I wrote my own book. I had help. I went through a program, had a wonderful editor that I was introduced to through a different marketing organization. And I think if you wouldn't mind me mentioning her name, Lisa Caskey is her name, great editor. And she helped me. I mean, the hardest thing that we had to put together was the outline of the book. And then basically we did sort of what we're doing right here, Kylie. We every week for several months, we would get on a session like this. She would record me and she would interview me. And we just basically go down the outline of the book. And it was being recorded. That recording was dropped over into a Word document or some type of text file. And then she would massage it into chapters. And that came out December of 2019. And I became we did the whole thing on Google and on Amazon, and you know, my title on my emails and all that, you know, #1 new bestseller, because I hit that certain level, and so now I can say that I was, you know, #1, you know, new bestseller in that field or in that category. But other than I've sent it to all my clients and anyone I talk to on LinkedIn, I offer them the book. Probably 7 or 8 out of 10 of those contacts want the book. And it's not just a bunch of financial stuff. I mean, I talk about my background, my life on the ranch, why I went in this industry. I mentioned that earlier. I talk about that a little bit. There's a chapter on risk that I start out talking about what I considered the worst job I ever had to help my dad with, and that was pulling porcupine quills out of an animal's snout, whether that was a cow, a bull, sheep, a dog. Dogs were worse than anything. But and then I get into case studies, etc. But to your point, and I'm taking a long time to get here.
No problem.
What you guys did that the other marketing organization never did was to do a press release that went out to, I don't know, however many organizations you've sent that out to. I know it was on Market Watch and on Yahoo Finance, and I mean, you guys developed that for me. I had to go through compliance, and I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit, but because that is an important part of my industry. Anything that I'm pushing out like that, there's got to be a compliance eyes on that. And I think that's regardless of whether you're in a broker-dealer relationship or an RIA relationship. There's got to be some compliance that are looking at that. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, Todd.
I got a little bit wordy probably, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it came across, that's what you did with the book so far has been great. Yep.
Thank you very much. And we really appreciate that. We love positive feedback, and we do believe that your press release is going to really excel. And obviously we do our reports, and we've actually got a Zoom call tomorrow scheduled in to discuss the updates, because we want you to be really involved in the whole process as well, and feel like you've got that full control still over your marketing. You did mention earlier, Todd, as well, the fact that you are based in Nebraska and up here in South Africa. So obviously there's no face-to-face communication, but we are obviously an international company, and we do have offices based in USA. But because you are dealing mostly with myself and Evan, who is based in the USA, would you say, the Zoom calls and stuff, do you feel like it's possibly stopped you from any communication, or because you've obviously complemented the communication, would you say it still works very well for you as if you were to meet with someone face to face or informal?
Oh, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, I have worked virtually. This is my home office. I office out of my house, and I've done this for 6.5 years now when I went independent. And my broker dealer, I don't need to get into that, but they're very supportive of me working virtually. So the fact that we're doing this type of communication, I'm all about that. And that would have been the case, whether or not we hit this COVID pandemic thing that we're in right now, which sort of forced us into this type of communication mode anyway. So I have never seen this as a distraction or a negative at all. So
wonderful.
To me, that's occasionally. Yesterday, because of the cold weather, we had rolling blackouts with power here in the Omaha area because of the heavy loads, because it's so darn cold here right now, because we're in the middle of winter. And so sometimes if I lose the internet,
that's normal.
That creates some problems, but everybody understands that. It's not like I'm the only one affected by it. My clients that I'm trying to reach out to, they go through the same thing. So not a big deal.
Wonderful. No, that's perfect. Thank you very much again. And then, if I may ask, would you say you would consider BigaSuccess as a marketing agency to other financial advisors?
Oh, sure. Excuse me. Absolutely. I would recommend, go in with your eyes open, depending on what their experience is with marketing, that they're coming into a conversation with you. Certainly be prepared to the person you're talking to, they need to be prepared to, how are you going to be different than what perhaps they've done in the past? And again, for me, I've never really done something like this, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to necessarily. So the other thing would be certainly, and I mentioned this earlier, anybody that's coming in and talking to you, and the things that you're going to be able to do for them, they've got to have their compliance on board, because it's not going to do it. You're going to run into a heck of a wall if that conversation hasn't happened, and if they don't have a real supportive compliance department to take the stuff that you're doing for that person and then get that turned around so they can use it and have it on their website and be able to push that out to their database. You're never really going to get past, you're never going to get a green light, and that's going to be a problem. So to me, anyone that's watching this needs to come in understanding that you guys are going to be doing a lot of marketing for you, a lot of stuff that's going to be pushed out. But we live in a world of compliance, so it's important that you have a supportive compliance department. Again, my previous company would never have let me do anything like this. Just it wouldn't have happened. So that's a lot of the reason why I didn't have that type of experience.
No. So. Perfect. Thank you very much, Todd, and we really appreciate that again. Yes, like you said, it's really depending on the financial advisor and what sort of compliance they're under. And that obviously, surely we would work with them as well as we've worked with you through that and have that approved, of course. Obviously, we've been talking about the positives, and with every business, I know that there are challenges as well. So, if there was anything that you would say you found that we could do differently, would there be anything that you would like to make a note of that?
Well, honestly, some of these questions you've asked me, I would think it would be important, and I think it would be valuable for you to incorporate them in your initial strategy session with whoever you're talking to in the future, because there may be other advisors like myself that don't recognize that they may have an issue or a problem, and until you kind of highlight what it is you can do for them, yes, like what you're doing for me, they may not recognize that they've got a problem. And the fact that, you can put me in front of a lot more, people that I want to talk to, and that I believe I have an important message for them to hear. I don't know anybody in my industry that doesn't want that. So, you always talk about, I have great stuff to talk to people about. I just don't have enough people to talk to them about. So, that's right. How do you do that? I mean, you can be either one person trying to do that, or you capitalize on an organization like yourself that like yourselves to help me do that. And basically it's a force multiplier.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very, very much, Todd. I really appreciate you taking the time and answering some of my questions. And we are very excited that you are a client of BigaSuccess, and to have your some time taken out of your day to sit with me and answer these questions. We really appreciate it. If there's anything that you'd like to add before I end.
No, this and we talked about this before this started. I mean, I don't have any problem talking about my business, as hopefully I've come across that way. And this was what I would consider or describe as a very low threat environment. And that's some of my military background talking there. I mean, I have briefed 4-star admirals in general. So this is a piece of cake. This is just another conversation that you and I have had in the past. So no, appreciate you asking me to do this. I mean, I'm
no problem.
Hopefully anybody you're going to be working with has have the same experience that I'm having right now. And again, I certainly, we haven't talked about this, but I certainly welcome a reach out from anybody that watches this video if they want to talk with me further. So I have no problem doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Todd. I really appreciate it. And for anyone that is interested, there will be a link under this video. They're welcome to reach out, and I'm happy to even share your information as well, Todd, if anyone is looking for any assistance therefore. But thank you very much again for your time. And yes. Let
me say one more thing.
Yes, please.
I'm on United States time, so I'm here in Omaha. When I'm here in our house in La Vista, which is a suburb of Omaha, I'm in Central Time Zone. When I'm at the ranch, I'm in Mountain Time Zone. So depending on where someone is calling me from, if you're calling me at 4 o'clock in the morning, probably 8 out of 10 times I'm awake, but I'm likely not going to answer that call. Nor am I going to answer the call if it's 2300 at night or 11 p.m. You're going to get ignored. So just, I'm joking. I'm sure people would reach out to me on email first and, set up a call. So
Perfect. All right.
have a little
So
fun.
there will be an email with your details and along with that, there will be an email address for myself as well, where you can reach me. But again, thank you very much for your time, Todd. I really appreciate it. And all the very best, and may everyone have a wonderful day further.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next steps. Apply for your free breakthrough strategy session. Fill out the initial information on goals and pains, and book a time or date in mine or my team's calendar, and we will revert back to you shortly. Just a word of warning. Due to the nature of our service, we only take 4 clients each month. If you're seeing this video, it means that we are currently accepting applications. Go below this video right now and click to apply for your free breakthrough strategy. See you soon.